Welcome everybody. Today, we're just gonna take a break from everything for about 10 minutes. We're just gonna feel the quiet a little bit more. It's something I struggle with doing a lot lately. And so, the very first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna light 2 candles. The first one is to all the people working in hospitals and small businesses, deliveries, educators, everybody who's continuing to work and their jobs are totally different than what they were before. In some ways they're the same, in some ways it's just a totally different thing, and I don't know, I just really appreciate those people who are working and adapting. And the second candle goes out to everybody struggling right now, whether you're struggling with your current situation in quarantine, or struggling with doubt or self-worth, or even just struggling with feeling grateful. This candle's for you. You're essential, and everything that you're doing, staying inside and social distancing, wearing the masks, it does help immensely. We wouldn't be doing it if it didn't absolutely protect the immunocompromised and the vulnerable. So what you're doing, what we are all doing, is heroic right now. So this candle goes out to those 2 groups of people today. The next thing we're going to do is take a deep breath. I'm going to straighten my shoulders, and we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. So we'll start with the nose. It goes like this: 1, 2, 3. And out. I don't know about you guys, I always have an issue getting air in, but out's fine. Today I'm grateful for new starts. I feel like we've had a lot of those as a band, but I've had a lot of them as a person too, and I'm learning that it's okay to start anew. It's a really scary concept, but to have the opportunity to grow into the next set of skills that you adapt along the way, I don't know, I'm just grateful for that, because we don't always get that, and this is a good time for that, for me at least. So I'm grateful for the chance to kind of create a new chapter out of this current situation. I'm going to play a song about letting go of your imperfections, and what I mean by that is like not necessarily trying to pretend they don't exist, but acknowledging those imperfections, and depending on the level of healthiness for everybody around you and for yourself, sort of falling in love with those imperfections. I think it's okay to have imperfections and wear them proudly every once in a while. Again, as long as it's healthy for everybody around you. If not, then we got growing to do. So, but speaking of growing, it's also about jack pine trees, which are trees that only shed their cones and their seeds during the peak of a fire, like peak wildfire, and the seeds actually have a lot more fertile ground to work with once everything is burnt down, because all the nutrients are in the ashes. So that's when jack pine trees grow strongest. And I don't know, there's a really cool metaphor in there about how sometimes in order to do the thing that's going to yield the most growth, you have to go through a little bit of the burn for a while, and in a way that is the best way to start anew. So the song called Arizona Stars. My heart is like an old apartment, an empty suitcase in the dark. Some people pack their things, some people see what morning brings, but in the end they depart. I try to remember the better times, zone of stars. And when the morning came, it painted all the cliffs with flame, but those days seemed so far. I tried, but striving for perfection is a waste of time. I apologize, but all these imperfections are mine. I think of arguments as blinded truths. You only see them in a certain light. You stand on solid ground, but love and grace cannot be found. So what good comes from the fight? I tried, but striving for perfection is a waste of time. I apologize, but all these imperfections are mine. I think that life is like a jackpine. We circle through the growth and fire. When someone burns us down, we rise up through unlikely ground, and this time we grow even higher. I try, but striving for perfection is a waste of time. I apologize, but it wasn't all but nothing in the scheme of life. I try, but striving for perfection is a waste of time. And I apologize, but all these imperfections are mine. I try to remember the better times. I try to remember. I try to remember the better times. I try to remember the better times. It's a really fun one. Ah, cool. So, next I'm going to recommend a book. I have always been fascinated with harmony and how it works. I started hearing harmony when I was about 9 years old. Stop texting me, Katie. I was about 9 years old when I started learning harmony. I remember sitting in the mall parking lot. My dad left me in the car for 2 minutes, and this band called Teenage Fan Club was on the radio, and True Love was also on the radio, and they were kind of playing after each other, and I was listening to the vocals, and suddenly it felt like something clicked in my brain, and I could hear the 3-part harmony, and I've been able to hear it ever since. I can just hear a melody, and I know where the harmonies go, and oftentimes when we get together, that's been a thing where I'm like, oh, the harmony's here, we gotta sing this one, and you guys sing this one, and I get really OCD about it, but this book actually explores the history of harmony, and I heard about it from a podcast called Benjamin Walker's Theory of Everything, which is a Radiotopia podcast, and the book is basically set with this beginning anecdote about Pythagoras, and he's kind of wandering by this forge. He hears 5 different hammers going off. It's like people who are forging and blacksmithing, so I'm also interested in that. But he hears that 4 of the hammers are perfectly harmonizing. He goes into this forge and he gets them to all hammer, and he's like, yeah, these harmonies are working. This is great. And the 5th hammer doesn't belong in the group, and he discards it. And this book investigates, why did Pythagoras discard the 5th hammer? What was it about that hammer that just didn't belong? So it's an exploration of the history of harmony and kind of the myth and the enigmaticness behind it, because I've always had questions, when something that you just hear but don't understand happens to you, you just have a lot of questions about it, and this book answers a lot of them, so it was super cool. So yeah, it's by, sorry, I didn't even tell you what it's called. It's called The Fifth Hammer, Pythagoras and the Disharmony of the World, and it's by Daniel Heller Rosen, Roazen, and it's pretty, like, I would say it's like harder to find, but I found it okay. And Brilliant Books, no doubt they'll have it because they're amazing and they have had all my favorite books. So you can click on the link in the description, brilliant-books.com/accidentals recommend. It's in the description of the video, and they have a landing page with all our recommendations on it, and they're going to add this one to it as well. I feel like I'm forgetting something. I did the book recommendation. Oh yeah, there's some comments here. What day of the week is it? Nobody has the day of the week shirt on. I don't think at this point days of the week matter anymore. Time is a flat circle. I will say that yesterday we dropped our single, Requiem for a Lark, which we have been so excited about because we did it with the Contemporary Youth Orchestra. And they're a youth orchestra out of Cleveland, Ohio. They've performed with Styx and Ben Folds and Jason Mraz, and then we got to play with them, and they were some of the sweetest kids we've ever met. They were so cool. They taught us how to make paper cranes, and that's where a lot of the artwork comes from. And we had such a blast working with them. So that is one of the singles that came out, but it's a single package. So it also has the rock version of Requiem for a Lark, which we're super excited about. So that's on vinyl, which is on our website. We also have t-shirts, and we have handmade earrings and necklaces that we're just making and putting together and shipping in the mail. So if you're interested, those links are also in the description of the video. But in the meantime, we will see you, I think around, Kate says it in the ARC video, I think we're doing a origami making party with Kat McDowell at 2 o'clock. So I'll make a post, and maybe you guys can join us if the paper crane making from the ARC show yesterday wasn't too stressful for y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow.